Behold, my loudest bike in the collection. Before we start the video, I'd like to announce my collaboration with Simply Carbon Fiber. These are the new exclusive limited phone cases me and Simply Carbon Fiber designed with the H2R on this full carbon fiber twill phone case. They give maximum protection for your phone and of course do it in style. So click the link down description below. They just got released today. Get yourself this exclusive collab that's gonna last I don't even know how long because they're very, very limited. I'm very happy and proud of it. And I hope you guys like it too. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I hope you guys like it too. And if you do, as I said, link in the description down below. And now let's continue with the video. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am back with the review series, this time with the beautiful Fireblade RRR SP. Ah man, this was the last bike in my super bike collection technically, because my initial collection was supposed to have 6 bikes, which consisted of the H2, the V4R, the R1M, the M1000RR, the Aprilia RZ4 1100 factory, and finally the Fireblade RRR SP. Now, this was the last bike in the collection because I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a huge fan of Honda. I didn't think too much of the brand or the bike or anything. I just thought when this came out, I was like, wow, this one first of all actually looks really cool. Especially for Honda. I never thought Hondas looked, you know, like, you know, they didn't stand out. That's what I'm trying to say. But when this came out, I definitely thought it stood out, especially with those integrated wings that it have. It pretty much has like winglets, but they're integrated into the fairing, which I'll show you guys and talk about after we do a little bit of a test ride. But this was the first bike that I was like, wow, this is actually like a Honda I would like to have, especially after I saw that this bike, bone stock, makes like 216 to 17 horsepower, which is absolutely ridiculous. Anything over 200 horsepower is ridiculous, let alone in that like over 210 range. Then you're like, okay, this is like some serious speed. Not only it has power, but as you guys saw, the tire was really cold, and that was a rookie mistake from your boy over here. I gave it a little bit of gas, not crazy amount, but just a little bit, but the rear tire lost traction. But luckily, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a warning right on the screen and traction control kicked in. And that's one of the things I always talk about with these reviews. Technology on these bikes are really important. I mean, even MotoGP racers, they ride with their settings on. They still have traction control and stuff like that. So like, why wouldn't we appreciate that too? I know some people, or a lot of people, I used to be one of them myself, actually say that they don't like to ride with the electronics of these bikes because it intervenes in the feel of the bike. And I totally see that. I agree with you guys. Sometimes you know, you don't like to feel that resistance from the electronics or something like that. But there comes times where we are not the most focused, sharp, or whatever you want to call it, and people make mistakes. That's why we're human. And in those times, having these technologies which can save us from an accident, because unlike a car, usually if something happens in a car, you're a lot safer than you would be on a motorcycle. Oh my god. Holy, this thing sounds insane. I can never get over it. We have done the decibel meter test. If you guys haven't seen that video, check it out. But this ranked, this one, the H2R, and I believe there was one other bike that were my 3 loudest bikes. But definitely this one and the H2R, especially when you're riding them, they definitely stand out. The H2 as well when you're riding. But the sound is unmatched on these bikes. That's one of the main things that caught me by surprise when I got this bike. In my opinion, I've talked about the Aprilia being underrated, but this is way more underrated because Aprilia still has some sort of hype. It's more spoken highly about than this. Nobody really talks about these. Yeah, you rarely see them, but they're not also not talked about. I feel like that Aprilia is still talked about a bit, maybe because of the sound tone, the original V4 engine or whatever. This was very, very underrated, and when I got this bike I was like, okay, more people need to know about this, more people need to put Honda on the map and have it as an option to get, because it's one of my favorite bikes to ride. Besides, let's not put the H2 and the HR in the mix, because I feel like those are slightly cheater bikes when it comes to the feel. They're supercharged and they're kind of like the pinnacle of engineering, so it's a little bit of cheating. But in comparison to, like, let's say the V4R, that's my favorite bike to ride. I think this is my second favorite bike to ride. It just, I don't know what about it, the bike feels so good, man. Like, it looks good, it feels good, it sounds one of the best. It's really hard to compete with such a package that came from Honda, and a lot of people said when I got this bike that it's like the king of reliability. Finally you got like the most reliable bike, blah blah blah. I personally haven't had issues with a lot of my bikes. There's maintenance issues, which are expected, because like, let's say the V4R, people are like, yeah, how do you like the Ducati maintenance and all that? These are race bikes that are pushed to the limit, you know what I mean? The V4R, the main reliability issue with that bike is actually the dry clutch, because, you know, that wears out a lot faster. So it's more wear and tear than reliability itself. I'm lost of words. I can't, the words won't come out of my mouth after that. Oh my god, what a thrill this bike is to ride. Not only the sound, but like how fast it is, how stable and good it makes you feel. Like, if I wanted to pick a bike to rip on the track, I would probably go for this, to be honest. It would be between this, the BMW M1000RR, and the R1M. Those three bikes would probably be my favorite to rip on the track. The R1M is easier to control because it's not as insanely powerful as the other bikes. When it comes to just like raw power, I would pick this one because it's such a like complete package. The only downside with this one, I would say, is because this is, oh, I just got majorly nut checked by that bump. Woo! Give me a sec to breathe. Oh man, what was I saying again? This bike just feels so good in corners. Auto flipper quick shifter works flawlessly, butter smooth, really nice. It just like works throughout the RPM, not only in like high RPM or a certain RPM. It's very quick, but at the same time it does give you that feel of a click. I think maybe the BMW or maybe the Ducati, actually, one of these bikes, the auto blipper is like so smooth that you barely feel it. You know what I mean? This is smooth, but like you feel that click at the end, which just gives you a perfect feel. I gotta keep in mind that the tires are technically still not the warmest. It's not a warm day or anything, but I don't know, this bike just feels so good. It just like wants to take corners. It's like, come on, let's go, let's take corners. I don't know if it's the riding position, I don't know what about it, but definitely one of my favorite bikes to ride. I would say though, the riding position is not the most comfortable. You're sitting very high up. I'm like kind of on top of the tank. You see how like high up I am to the tank? So that's definitely that is definitely something that is not the best about this bike if you're going for like comfort. We'll just stop so I can talk to you guys. So yeah, I'm sitting like pretty high up. The handlebars are very far forward. It's a very race position. Again, yeah, I get it, this is a race bike, but for the sake of the review, of course, it's not going to be the best bike for comfort. The seat feels like one of these full-on, like really thin seats that honestly I haven't complained about. Like, yeah, they feel like very thin and flat, not cushiony, but at the same time they do feel pretty comfortable. I've never complained about it. They're pretty wide, so maybe that's why they're comfortable. They're not the softest, but they are wide. Not major drawbacks when it comes to comfort besides the riding position itself. Me getting rear sets did help a lot. I put it in a more relaxed position because I was like extremely tucked before, especially as a taller guy. Also, we gotta talk about the price. At the end of the day, this is like a Honda. It's not like a BMW or a Ducati, and it is $30,000. So it is not the cheapest by any means, but I totally think it's worth it. Technology, right? This is the only bike that has a key fob. My key is right here. There's no key placement. It looks a lot cleaner. It's a push of a button to start and a twist to turn off. How easy, how convenient is that? If I want to lock it, turn it all the way, and I'm pretty sure I just hold it. There you go. You guys heard that? Now it's locked. And I think I don't really, oh, I think, yep, I just click the button and it's unlocked. How awesome is that? Look at it. These are the integrated wings that I talked about in the start of the video. So you see how there are winglets, but they're not just like hang, I don't know, it's so integrated to the body that you don't really, you can't see it, especially from the side, which I think is cool. And then you look this way and look at it, it's just so aggressive, so menacing. It looks different. I like when bikes make their brands make their bike brands make their bikes look different. There you go, got it. I will take some points for the lack of carbon that this bike has. I think for a $30,000 price tag, both the R1M, both the Aprilia are about $5,000 less than this, maybe less, but between that $2,000 to $5,000 difference. Yet they did come with some carbon fiber at least. This one did come with the Acro slip-on. Look how sharp that is. Look how clean and sharp that is. Here's like, what looks wise, what can I complain about? The only thing is that it lacks carbon from the factory, which I do want to get carbon for it, but I'm like, down the rabbit hole again we go. You know, when you have this many bikes, it gets a little bit much. What is this? Oh, we have something that is hanging right here. I'll definitely take a look at that. Hopefully it doesn't go flying or anything, because I literally don't know what this holds or where it's supposed to go. That being said, it does come with a full raised belly, which most bikes don't, if you guys notice. So as I said, this bike comes like pretty much ready for the track. Most bikes have it cut right here, but this is important for racing. So if you have a leak or something, kind of like hold the fluids there. And I think it's better for aerodynamics as well. So some people really like the look. I prefer without the raised belly actually, because especially like this bike does have a full titanium exhaust system, which you can see right here, colored beautifully. Not here yet because I don't know, I guess I haven't been riding this bike as crazy. The exhaust needs to get really hot for it to get colored all the way up here, or dyno, put it on the dyno. So that would be really cool and loud if we put this on the dyno. We'll definitely make it happen at some point, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm not talking about parts on these bikes because most of them come with high standard, like, you know, Brembo brakes, Öhlins, stuff like that. Most of them come with like top-notch parts on them because they are the top bikes of their classes. So I'll only talk about it if like a bike is lacking in those aspects. And that being said, this is a race bike, yet it still does come with electronic suspension, which I've talked about in a lot of my videos, that like this is really beneficial for someone. Not everyone that buys these leader bikes is going to be like only track, you know what I mean? Most people, or 90% of people, buy them to ride them out in the world, just like people that get exotic cars. I really like the electronic suspension, very useful, very beneficial. Tail design is absolutely clean. Let's turn on the light so you guys can see. It's so simple yet so pretty at the same time, you know what I mean? They didn't do anything complicated, but simple yet elegant designs. I think if it was like a strip or something, it might be a bit cooler, but I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that it's the most beautiful bike, but when have you ever seen a Honda look this good? Look at this beautiful dash. Not only you have your lean angle live, but it gives you this like fighter jet looking thing on the left side. When you give it throttle, it kind of goes up. When you hit the brake, it goes down, which I'll show you guys when we ride if you haven't noticed. When we were riding earlier, I hear a bike. Sounds like an inline 4. I can't see what it is though. It is like a blade, you know what I mean? I feel like they named it very correctly because it cuts corners so like sharp. It's so solid. It does lose points because it does have cast wheels. I think they should have at least given us forged wheels. Preferably carbon wheels would be nice, like the S1000 RRs, you know. But that's a crazy package for the S1000 RRs. That's why they get ranked very high on value, because they just give you so much for the amount you spend. So this definitely loses a little bit in the value. I feel like they could have given us better wheels, a little bit more carbon, you know, just to spice it up a little bit. But as a riding experience, it's definitely going to rank one of the highest and looks are subjective, but I think it absolutely looks beautiful. Maybe not the most beautiful motorcycle, but it's definitely up there. I do think it looks better. Ooh, do I dare say better than the Aprilia 1100 factory? I don't know, possibly. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This thing has the full system, the velocity stack, similar to like most of my bikes, Brent tuned as well. A lot of little like simple touch-ups, you know, the basics. We got like the Bonamici lever guards, we got the carbon fiber levers, we got some like chain adjusters, axle sliders to lift it up when I had room in the garage to put them on stands. I don't anymore because the garage is so packed, as you guys saw. So it does need a little bit of carbon and work to finish it up, but at the end of the day, I feel like I got this bike and I was like, it already has so much going on that I feel like it looks good as is. It doesn't need to stand down more, you know what I mean? The carbon will just be like the nice cherry on top, but I'm not sure what carbon do I want to do. Do I want to stick with this so it all matches, or I did dabble a little bit with the idea of doing forged carbon on this. I don't think it'll fit it because I feel like forged carbon should be on an Italian bike. It's more bougie, but it would also look really good on the Fireblade. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Should I do forged carbon on this thing, or should I just do a plain carbon? Because I didn't want to do twill, because almost all of my bikes are twill. The only one that is plain is, I believe, actually the Rush, I believe, is plain carbon, V4R. All the other ones are twill, so maybe to change this up a little bit, we'll do plain, similar to the rear and this one. If you guys don't know, plain is more like checkered, the twill is like kind of the lines. And forged carbon is just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a mess, but it looks nice. Sun is setting. Let's take it back and conclude my complete thought about the review of this bike. Listen to this thing. Nothing else sounds, I don't think any other bike sounds more race bike than this one. That's definitely one thing I can say. Even though the seat is kind of high, I feel like maybe the whole bike is a bit lower, because I do feel very low to the ground, and maybe that's why it feels very planted. But at the same time, I feel like it's pretty easy to throw around too, so it's not like, usually when a bike is lowered, such as my H2, which I have lowered it, it definitely feels a lot lower than this, but it's also, I can't throw it around like this. They did it right, because this bike, in my opinion, is one of the best when it comes to feel. It might not be, I'd say, the easiest bike to ride, just because of the more aggressive seating position and like how crazy fast it is. It's a little bit more intimidating. The sound is close to unmatched when it comes to how crazy this sounds, especially when you're on the road. Even when you're stopped, actually, you guys did hear that cold start. Woo! An insanely underrated motorcycle, especially when it comes to the riding experience as a track bike, as a daily, as an all-together motorcycle. The fact that this, in my opinion, feels as good, if not better, than the M1000RR and is $10,000 less. Come on, it's hard to fathom how Honda built such a motorcycle, even though it lacks in some aspects, as I said, such as the carbon, better wheels, stuff like that. But altogether, if you're considering getting the Honda Fireblade RRR SP, it should definitely bump it up in your record, because this bike is a blast. And as I said about the Aprilia, you guys know I like underdogs, and this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest underdogs when it comes to these leader bikes. It's definitely slept on and should be talked more about in the biker community. I hope you guys enjoyed this ride review, and now we're gonna go to the scoreboard and give this bike a rating out of 100. Let's see how it stacks up, given that it's the third bike that I am rating, so we'll see how it does. Woo, that noise against the Aprilia and the BMW. Let's start the rating of the Honda CBR RRR Fireblade SP. For style, it gets a 9 out of 10. For sound, it gets a 9.5. Slightly, just slightly under the Aprilia, because at the end of the day, it is just an inline 4 engine. It's not as unique as the V4 of the Aprilia. Speed gets a 9. It's a crazy fast bike,
but not the fastest. For tech, it gets a 9.5 out of 10. Definitely has tech that I can trust and rely on, as well as electronic suspension. For handling, it gets a 9.5. So far out of the bikes that we have reviewed, this gave me the best feel, and it just gives me the most confidence when I ride it. Ease of ride gets an 8.5. It is a little more challenging just because of how the bike reacts and the seating position mainly of the bike. Comfort gets a 7, similar because of the seating position. Build quality gets a 9. I can't give it a score as good as the BMW because the BMW just feels a tad more finished. For fun and character, it gets a 9. The way that bike makes you feel is just completely different. Insanely underrated. For value, I gave it a 9 as well. It would have rated higher. I actually almost gave it the highest score currently, but it did lose that half a point that I was going to give to it because it did come with cast wheels, as I've talked about, as well as not having pretty much any carbon fiber at all for premium motorcycle that is technically the top of its brand, which brings the final total to 89 points, beating the M1000 RR by a full point. Props to the Fireblade for beating a bike that's $10,000 more than it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys agree? And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and ride safe.